Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships and the star of this new Salvage event for Surcouf, Colonna. This is the best value out of this new event. For 192,000 coal, you can get yourself a really fun Tier 8 Italian Brawling battleship. This thing has SAP Secondaries with the highest hitting DPM at 10 kilometers in the game as far as any Tier 8 secondary battleship goes, alongside having battle cruiser dispersion on these 381mm main guns. So we get some pretty massive consistency out of them. Amazing concealment at 11.7 kilometers. It gets you within half a kilometer of your secondary range is your concealment range. Extremely powerful for a brawling battleship. You don't have to engage outside of that secondary range very often. When you do decide to full send in, don't worry, you got yourself an exhaust smoke generator to back you up. So you push too aggressively, don't worry, just smoke up, turn away. You can do that completely for free. It's a very, very fun playstyle. Sicilia is the tier 10 equivalent. However, this is at tier 8, and it is way more comfortable to play this style at these mid tiers. You can play a lot closer, the ships are far less deadly at range, and more importantly, these secondaries have better DPM than Sicilia does. 2 tiers lower, and we have 44,000 hitting DPM at 10 kilometers. Sicilia has 41,000 hitting DPM at that same 10 kilometers. 2 tiers lower, much easier matchmaker, same style smokes, better accuracy main guns, way better concealment, allowing you to play within those secondaries far more often, and those secondaries have higher hitting DPM. It's very fun. If you've ever thought, man, I wish I could play Sicilia as that secondary brawler, and it just never really works out for you because it's tier 10, right? This is going to be the ship for you. These secondaries being SAP secondaries means we want to be going after more broadside targets. We're not going to be lighting fires here. But SAP has a very interesting property where it has ricochet angles of 70 to 80 degrees. That means an enemy ship has to be angled in or away from you at a 10-degree angle to actually consider auto-bouncing these shells. And these are going to get a ton of plunging fire, as they are mostly made up of those 90mm secondaries. So it's good luck angling to these unless you're at very close range. So we're going to rack up a ridiculous amount of secondary damage in this game, alongside our main guns, just consistently pumping out 20k damage salvos into this turpits. We're not missing low, we're not getting randomly trolled here, and this is with full secondary build. I'm not even taking aiming systems in the 3rd upgrade slot. That is how nice it is to have battle cruiser dispersion. You can go the full look at the dispersion, it's wonderful. And that's what I love so much about this thing. The downside though is trying to stay alive. This ship is not flat out overpowered at tier 8. The problem here is that we're an up-tiered tier 7 hull. Yes, we are basically a Caracciolo with better secondaries, better main gun accuracy, no sap shells, and a better smokescreen at tier 8. And it's worse armor than the tier 7 too in a key way. The bow section has incredible icebreaker on the tier 7. Here it's only 30mm, which is totally fine because you're oftentimes not facing 457s at tier 8, but sometimes you are. So your entire bow can be overmatched, unlike Caracciolo, where only the upper portion can be. Your stern is all 25mm. There's not really any icebreaker there either. So an overmatchable brawling battleship can be hard to keep alive. Certainly, that also means we take a lot more HE spam hits as well. This ship is no Ipiranga or Atlantica or any of those Pan-American brawling battleships. It's not even a Massachusetts level of tankiness on the hull. But what we do have is the most consistent main guns I've seen on a more dedicated secondary brawler battleship, alongside a really fun smokescreen consumable that can allow us to play at these closer ranges, even though we do have a weaker hull than we would like as a brawling battleship. And I think that is really, really fun. So for just a little under 200,000 coal in this event, I think this is well worth picking up. I was really excited about this ship when it came out initially with that Blue Archive event. I thought it was really, really fun and unique. The only downside was it was very expensive. Admiral bundles only, or gambling on it, of course, but don't do that in this game. Just Admiral bundles are still very expensive. I wanted them to release it as a more normal ship, and honestly, 192k coal, a little more than we would expect for a coal tier 8. That's around 110,000 coal normally. I still would pay up for this, honestly. This would be the ship I would get out of the event. If I didn't get these ships as a CC to make videos on, I would be putting down my coal for Colonna, and I would be totally happy to not spend anything else on this Surcouf event, because this thing is just so much fun. Now, as we would expect from an Italian battleship, it has essentially no AA, so the thought of trying to brawl in certain games, you can get locked out from time to time. But I really think the extra concealment here that this ship has allows it to not be punished quite so hard by a lot of the aircraft in this game these days. Thanks to our air detect not blooming out these days when we shoot, we retain that 8.1 kilometer detect, air detect that is, even when firing our main guns. So you're going to spend a lot of time getting closer, getting into island cover without actually being plane spotted. I think that is really, really crucial to the playstyle of this ship and how fun it is to play. In a brawl, it's going to be fun, but can you get into these brawling situations? That's oftentimes the hard part. And thanks to the concealment here, I think this ship is easier in a lot of ways to get into these brawling situations than even something like a Massachusetts, certainly something like a Bismarck, for example. And I think we perform better than, say, a Bismarck in these situations. We're going to take out the Char 43 here, and I'm going to make a massive mistake here. I think I probably could have won this game rather easily had I gone to the right of this island and tried to take a lot of 1v1 engagements. I talk about this all the time when we're brawling, or in most ships, honestly. You want to limit the number of people that can shoot at you. It seems simple. Try to use island cover to do that. Don't just charge into the whole clump of enemy ships, which I am about to do. I could have easily waited the 10 seconds until my gun bloom resets after firing, used my smoke, turn away, completely flat broadside to these guys, and I would not have been spotted. And I would have been able to get behind island cover very easily, and then isolated fights against whoever was pushing in. No, I decided to make the bad play and push anyway. However, we're about to rack up a ton of damage here, as these secondaries will pen this New Mexico everywhere. The larger caliber secondaries actually pen 42 millimeters, so some of that can get through certain areas of the Ipiranga, but 26 millimeters of armor is what the 90 millimeters get through. So not a ton, but a lot of the secondaries in this game at tier 8 have that same 26 millimeter threshold. We see that on a lot of the German brawling battleships. Things like Massachusetts only get like 21 millimeters of pen. So this is a decent value. And again, it's higher DPM than all of them. 44k hitting DPM at 10 kilometers. Yes, hitting DPM, because the accuracy is the base 600 meter dispersion. The improved ones at 10 kilometers get like 360 meter dispersion, so nearly half. We just shoot so often that it makes up for it entirely. Something like that Ipiranga that we're fighting right now has 31,000 hitting DPM. Yeah, it's pretty massive difference. However, Ipiranga seems to be a lot tankier than us, even though he's sitting flat broadside. And we probably do go down here, unfortunately. Imagine I just played well and got around the other side of the island, instead of charging into the middle of the entire rest of the enemy team. Oh well, we get 250,000. Did you see that? How fast the damage racked up? Yeah, these secondaries go crazy at these closer ranges. 250k. How much do you think we got out of these secondaries alone? Nearly 100,000. Okay, yeah, we don't have great base accuracy, but they shoot so fast. I mean, here comes a Tirpitz. What's Tirpitz hitting DPM at 10 kilometers? Oh, it's 28,000. We're clearing that by like 15k. That's kind of wild. It's certainly not got the armor though, so we need to get into cover. I'm playing smarter around islands. Look at me. We're gonna accelerate and get behind this next island. But you'll also notice that I have changed my build here. We no longer have 11.3 kilometer secondary range. We have 9.9 kilometer secondary range, and this is now the hybrid build. If you're thinking to yourself, oh wow, battlecruiser dispersion with great secondaries, but lacking accuracy. Well, at closer ranges, that accuracy problem goes away with the secondaries, and battlecruiser dispersion, why wouldn't I just run main gun accuracy on this thing? Well, I ran some games with that too, and honestly, it worked out pretty well for the most part. The battlecruiser dispersion already base is doing a ton of heavy lifting, but the improvements, 7% extra dispersion, can help you out. In this case, a full salvo would have hit 7 out of 8 on this Tirpitz, and yeah, it's 3.7 kilometers away, but we know battleships. If you played a battleship before, you know it sometimes just won't hit a Tirpitz at these ranges somehow. And the extra consistency is extremely nice. Concealment levels around that of cruisers means that you can always go dark most of the time. And if you can't, well, like in this case, we're getting rushed around a corner. We've used our heal. We have over a minute of smokescreen duration. Yeah, we don't have short fuse or short cooldown on the heal. We don't have short cooldown on this damage control. But look at, we've already cooled off over half of our heal now just by chilling in our smoke, taking no more damage. It's a portable checkpoint. It's like a portable island, a way to disengage for an entire minute. It's extremely valuable, and I find it really, really fun to use in these brawling situations. Now, when it goes out, yeah, the cooldown time. I should have mentioned this earlier when I was comparing it to Sicilia, but the cooldown time is a big problem here. It's the same duration, the same size, massive smokes here, but we do unfortunately have a 180-second cooldown on this smoke, where Sicilia has the 120 seconds. So pretty massive difference there. But 2 tiers lower, a lot easier to push in. I find myself having way more enjoyable brawls in Colonna than in Sicilia. It's much harder. I really just don't even play Sicilia. I don't even try, because I know how difficult it is to do this kind of thing at tier 10. Where at tier 8, yeah, it's much more reasonable. We're going to slow down to stay within the Gambia's smoke fire range. That's how he's lit right now. And not quite finish him off. Okay, back turrets do get there. But I am now out of heals. Yeah, that's the problem too. This is a very Captain Point hungry build. Can we get 5 heals? Well, I actually went without 5 heals. I value the concealment extremely highly on this ship, choosing when to engage, when not to. Fire prevention, it's a must if you're brawling, as well as wanting the secondary accuracy. In the 3-point upgrade slots, Adrenaline Rush is too good to give up. And of course, we want the secondary range. So yeah, I don't actually get a 5th heal here. And in this game, maybe we could have made it to that. It's possible I could have actually survived this one. Unfortunately, though, we are going to go down here with just shy of 2 million potential damage. Or maybe we get there. I guess I would have had my heal barely off of that 3-point upgrade there. But I don't usually find myself getting 2 million potential damage. I am definitely taking way too much damage that sticks to my ship thanks to the lack of armor here. It's very noticeable that we are not nearly as tanky as a Massachusetts, certainly nowhere near those new Pan-American battleships either. But still, a decent result here. Manteuffel does not actually overmatch us. He overmatches 24 millimeters of armor, and we have 25 millimeter stern armor. And the reason I bring that up is we're going to angle to him just to make sure we don't take any damage to the guy that's about to go down. Oh, yeah, that's a Citadel. It's a very weird armor pro. I'm going to show you that again. Look at where his shell hits. It hits our superstructure. It hit above our turrets. I don't know what happened there, but, you know, call that RNG. This, though, is just pure overmatch. Angled to an Amagi at range, yeah, just get absolutely smashed. That is just overmatch. That's not even just superstructure pens. Our superstructure is actually pretty small, which is nice. But we get overmatched. That's the issue with this ship. And so at range, you don't want to take some of those open water engagements. You got to be a little bit more careful on where you decide to engage. And that's why concealment is so valuable with this one. It's a different playstyle. It's a different way of playing than something like a Valparaiso, where you just W key in without thinking, or some of the other Pan-American battleships feel a bit like that as well. I think this one takes a little more thought, and because of that, I enjoy it a lot more. It also having battle cruiser dispersion base means that even if I'm not taking accuracy build, which I am here in these last few clips, it's still oftentimes going to do that, for the most part. I did get trolled from time to time while playing it, because it's still a battleship at the end of the day. Broadside Le Havre here, 11.7. I mean, we're not detected here. 11.7? We got way better concealment than a lot of cruisers do. This is with accuracy build as well. And we're going to get... Oh, unfortunate. But, you know, that kind of thing happens. Maybe island bugs. What about a Hawaii reversing broadside onto us? Now, Hawaii has an Alaska hull, but crucially, it's an above water or waterline citadel. And we get nothing on them. I was not happy. I was not happy to have those salvos back to back, okay? I think quite understandably unhappy about that, because now we just lose half our HP to a Hawaii in the time it takes for us to reload. It's tough, okay? We were looking at Narai yesterday, And one of the things I have to bring up is if you're looking at these ships, they're interesting, they're fun. I certainly think Colonna is very fun and very powerful. But compared to the new content that Wargaming's been releasing, you get punished way harder, way more consistently. A lot of the new stuff just doesn't, okay? This Hipparang, surely we Citadel him, right? Surely, at these closer ranges. The gimmick of the Pan-American battleships is that they have that angled plating for their above-water citadels, which results in steeper angles at range, so you shatter. Well, we're at 3.1 kilometers with battlecruiser dispersion. We have 750 millimeters of pen here. And next try, let's go under those rear turrets, maybe. Let's try that section. Oh, no. Okay, we get some full pens, though, I guess. This ship gets smashed, by the way. Colonna gets smashed broadside. It's a very above-water citadel, too. So it's going to be harder to play this thing against a lot of the new stuff that tends to be a little bit more idiot-proof. Maybe that's not the right way of saying it, but that's kind of how it feels, right? This is a bad play objectively from this Hipparanga. He should be just kiting away angled or just full charging me and then getting to my broadside and finishing me off. Oh, nope. Torp protection there. No. No citadels this time. And this is the tier 8. Imagine we fight Los Andes or Libertad. The up tiers are hard, is what I'm trying to say. The down tiers you do absolutely crush, though. So it's a bit of a win more ship, I guess we could say, against tier 7s and 6s. It's really not fair. Against tier 9s and 10s, trying to brawl into that meta, very difficult. The carrier coming for us as well. The one bright side, though, here of trying to avoid some of this damage is that we have an incredible turning circle radius, as well as rudder shift if we take rudder mod. 740 meter turning circle is how I was dodging most of the incoming fire and what kept me alive. If we get hit, we're taking a lot of damage, but you can avoid a lot of that incoming damage thanks to that turning circle radius. And now that we're in port, I also got to show you guys the builds. As always, it's very taxing on the commander, especially when you're trying to run a brawling build. There's just so much you want to do. By the way, also, M Colonna here, the BA Binah, if I was to get rid of this filter, there you go. It's the same ship. It's the exact same ship, and now it's just released as a normal ship, which I really do appreciate. For coal, right? A coal ship, I mean, it's limited time, unfortunately, but a new fun coal ship, I think this is the pinnacle of this event by far. Here's the build, though, that I was running. We have very little AA range, so this is of questionable effectiveness. The accidental or, I don't know, incidental perhaps is the right word for it, AA activations on ASW planes, that kind of thing that you usually get throughout a battle that just happens to activate this 40% consumable prep time is really nice. And it's harder to activate on a ship with only 4.6 kilometer AA range. So maybe that's not as good as something like Brisk, but I find Brisk gets you into trouble fast, and it doesn't help you get out of trouble. That's my view of Brisk on brawling battleships, okay? I think it pushes you further into a bad situation quicker, and then, you know, when you're trying to go dark and you can't, it just isn't helping you there. Something like Grease the Gears could be a lot better, Vigilance as well. So I'm not a huge fan. Yeah, I guess we could use our smoke to go dark, and we're a little faster in our smoke, but at that point, I think we're putting too much pressure on a consumable that does have a pretty long cooldown, admittedly. And you should be safe throughout that minute-long cooldown anyway, so that's why I'm not taking Brisk. I think it's much better to take one of the other survivability upgrades for 2 points. But the rest of it, yeah, we already talked about it, though. Fire prevention, conceal, secondary aiming, as well as range, and then just adrenaline rush, because it's base secondary accuracy here. These are not accurate secondaries. What they do have is just absurd DPM that makes up for that. Better than Sicilia DPM. 2 tiers lower. It's a much more usable Italian brawling secondary battleship. Certainly the best one, in my opinion. Very, very enjoyable in that regard. Concealment, of course, because 11.7 detect with up to 11.3 kilometer secondary range. Yeah, I was running the aiming systems here towards the end of my playtime, but if I'm playing this ship, I'm playing it for the secondary. So I would normally just go for the full secondary build. Fortunately, the commander stays the same, so if you want to run a hybrid build, you can just swap over to aiming systems really quick. That's the only change that I would really make. The extra uptime on damage control can be nice these days, so that's why I am running that as well. But 11.3 on the secondary range and 11.7, really comfortable. 740 meter turning circle radius is extremely good here, and that's why I'm taking rudder mod. I don't want to be speed juking a lot because even with prop mod, it's not great at that. And you just eat so much damage angled, right? The idea of speed juking is that your deck armor, your bow and stern armor is so strong that you're juking shots that are aimed at your superstructure when you're bow in or stern in angled like this. People are going to aim for your superstructure in that case, and the slight movement is going to throw the shots back towards your stern or towards your bow, and then you take no damage that way. Here, yeah, 25, you definitely take damage, and so you need to be avoiding the shells, and that's where staying at speed and then using your rudder and turning circle radius. Here, there's this 30mm icebreaker up front, which can be a problem into 457s, as this is your citadel. Yeah, if you go broadside, you will get punished, unlike the Iparangas, apparently, or the Hawaii. It's so annoying. Like, this is good design. In my opinion, this is good design. I like this a lot. But it's so frustrating that the stuff everybody plays just never... I understand why everybody plays it, because why would you just play a ship that is weaker, right? Why would you play a ship with downsides when you could play a ship that doesn't have downsides, obviously? But from a game design, like, come on, Wargaming. More of this. More. I don't want you to take this away. I need you to add this to the other ships you're adding to the game, okay? It's a more fun experience when bad plays actually get punished. Very annoying, but this one will get punished, okay? So if you run into one of these in the next few days or weeks as people get it out of the Surcouf event, yeah, if it goes broadsides, you can just smash this thing, which is, I think, really good. I think that's solid, because it has a lot of tools to get out of bad situations without just turning flat broadside, that kind of thing. Battlecruiser dispersion is very nice. Overall, again, run the secondary build, because aiming systems versus secondary build, there's not a lot of difference I found in the salvos. You're still getting very accurate salvos out of the full secondary build. Here, by the way, is Caracciolo armor. You get 150 up front, so it's actually worse armor than Caracciolo at a tier higher, which is kind of interesting, but of course has a lot more tools to deal a ton of damage, better conceal, that kind of thing, all that kind of thing. But let me know what you think in the comments down below about Colonna. Very happy that this ship is finally out for not a FOMO. Well, actually, this is a FOMO event. I should choose my words more carefully. Not for an absurd cash price, right? Admiral bundles are gambling only. You can get this one for in-game resources, which is so cool. It is unfortunately still a FOMO event, so hopefully Wargaming brings these back more permanently, because there's some really fun ships here, and Colonna is certainly the highlight for me. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.